Hey folks, this is Bot D here, bringing you one more video from our Battle Poker Summer League Season 1 finals here. This is our final table. We are rebroadcasting it, not just so you can hear my voice, but I'm bringing you a special guest co-commentator here, none other than Burnt, who is our final table winner. Burnt, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing great.
Must be feeling nice after that victory, yeah?
Oh yeah, and I'm excited to rewatch me make terrible mistakes and get great luck.
Well, oh my God, we see right off the bat you are honoring tradition, as you said, and putting in some work on the first hand here with 24 ghosts nonetheless. I mean, if you're gonna do it with a hand, that's not a bad one to do it with, am I right?
Yeah, so I was debating before the game whether it was going to be a true all-in or a 125. Um, and when I saw this hand, it was a good hand. And the last thing that I wanted to do was have people think that I only all in because it was a good hand. I
Right.
mean, if it was a terrible one, it was going to be a push.
So the fact that you actually got a good hand saved you from going all in here.
Yeah, it did. And I got really lucky
Yeah,
because
as you
Reach
run
with
up against,
7 BCs.
yeah, I mean, my goodness. And as Nemesis is commenting here, if you look over at the list of players, everybody in Masters, including two current GMs, I mean, this is a stacked table. So,
Yeah, I was really hoping that when I pushed the 125-ish raise, I was hoping I
mhm.
would run into some Ravens here. That would have just
Oh,
been
of
great.
course. Yeah, Ravens would just be phenomenal to open up with here.
But Reach, I'm convinced Reach and I had good luck this game because we both honored the tradition.
Of course. I like it. I like it. Oh, superstitions, man. Can't beat them. All right, so this time you're in first position with 11 infestors. What are you thinking here? Think they're playable at all?
I mean, on an eight table, no. 11 infestors. I don't like infestors that much anyway. Um, I usually will only play them if I've got probably about 18 and up.
Hmm.
Um, And on this, I mean, they're just too vulnerable. They don't counter DTs properly. They get run over by so many things on the ground. I like them as air support, but they really need a second card to go with them. +3/+3 is nice though.
Right, right. Especially since the last patch, now that Infestitarians get the Zerg upgrades as well.
Hmm.
Pretty significant change, especially with the possibility of now getting 4/4 with your cards being suited, which unfortunately you don't pick up here, but fortunately you do pick up 5 carriers. I mean,
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
nice old start to the game.
yeah. And that raise was not big enough. I should have raised way more with the 5 carriers, but it's still early on. I didn't want to scare anybody off.
Right.
Really should have raised more there.
Well, I mean, this early on, when the antes are only one, the pot is only so big, and you really want to try to size your bet in relation to the size of the pot, so you're either giving or denying proper pot odds for a call or a fold.
Hmm.
So it makes sense that, it's difficult to just say, hey, there's a pot of 15 out there. Let me bet 90 and see if anybody calls.
Yeah, but Scarl was the person I was against, so he might have gone for it.
I mean, we can get into some player specific reads if you want to. I mean, I wasn't trying to call anybody out here, but you got anybody that you have some notes on? Something you want to share, maybe?
Uh, Nothing I'm going to say here. I will as we go along. This hand,
Okay.
though, oh my gosh. Look at 19 wild cards, 18 queens. I like calling with the Banshees. I feel like they survive more than they should just because they don't get
Right.
targeted. Um, but then the 5 battle cruisers. I mean, this is everybody who's in this hand right now should be in.
I mean, I definitely agree with you on the Banshees. They're just like free firepower against anything on the ground. You pair them up with a decent second card that's a little bit tanky. You've got the makings of a winning hand right there.
Hmm. um, let's see.
So you made the call to the man can. Okay, so man can raised by 6 to 9. You called 0-2 called Reach called Nemesis calls Scaro calls. My goodness.
Yeah, and these are all solid hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the 7 Ghost pickup is really nice for Terran. And with no upgrades on the board, getting a free 1/1 upgrade is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah,
Especially for those two
with the
units.
having picked up the Marauders, I'm not going to go in if there's another raise, but everyone just checks around. I'm happy to be in hand.
Yeah, there's too many people for you to successfully raise with purely an anti-ground hand. That only starts working around like maybe 3-handed, maybe 4-handed. If you're at a full table with 8 players and 6 of them are still in the pot, there's air out there somewhere. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
and you kind of hope with Banshees or Oracles, you're hoping that the air all wipe each other out and don't leave enough time for you to get knocked out. I
Right.
mean, if that's your only card, you're not real confident you're going to take down a pot. You're just hoping to get some payoff out of it.
There is such a thing as playing for the tie. Oh man, that temp is slowly going down. As the battle cruiser turns to the Banshees. Gonna get a nice little split pot here.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we're still in late position. You pick up 6 Immortals. With 3/3, the upgrades have been good to you so far.
Yeah, 6 Immortals. That's not a big enough number for 8-handed. I mean, you got Frosty here with 19 mutas. You've got 16 Banshees, Scarl with 13 Disruptors. I don't feel real good about 6 Disruptors. I'm going to let that go pretty often.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I used to play Immortals really aggressively, and then I started running the stats on the replays that Koff wrote the script for, and I realized or read how low their win rate actually is. I've had to kind of back off of them lately, and I feel like my game's been a little bit better for it.
And I stay in here. It's a raise of 3. Pretty soon the antes are going to be going up. I mean, next hand it's going to be up to 2. Well, actually, it's going to be up two ante increases. So I was comfortable paying 3 to see a next card, but not to pay the extra 10.
Makes sense. I mean, you're playing the short stack right, getting in to see cheap second cards when you can, knowing that that second card's going to be that little bit stronger due to the 25% minimum supply floor. Um, I mean, anytime you can see a second card for cheap, I think it's a good idea. But especially in these 300 gold formats where everybody is so deep stacked and the implied odds are so high, I you got to be able to be a little bit more loose, I'd say, at these in these situations, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you've got to be willing to play for draws. If you can play to split a pot, and you've got, it's going to stay 8-handed for a while. So you're going to get some payoff if you can split pots more often. And you
Right.
should be willing to stay in, see a second card, try and split the pot, try and get lucky and catch some of your draws. Like right here, it's already up to an ante of 3. So I was willing to pay the 3 to see the second card, having to pay 3 to see this one.
Right, right.
Bad at games with a great hand, the 12 libs, Scaro, a playable hand. I'm not wild about Colossi, but 8 of them, and they've got the 2/2. I mean, it's worth paying to
Worth
see
a
your second
shot.
card.
I'm still really skittish with Colossi. They're just so vulnerable and so hard to keep safe. They do great DPS when left undisturbed, but it's just so hard to get them into a situation where they really can just sit there and zap out DPS like a madman.
Mm-hmm. I would have folded to any raise here.
Okay. I do like Scarro's play with the Stalkers. I think Stalkers with upgrades are really, really strong as long as they have some kind of support either in DPS or tanking. They can do pretty decent jobs at either or. They just can't do it at the same time.
Yeah, and you don't want to see the zealots as your second card. If you get something
No.
like, obviously carriers, tempests are fine, but even if you get, high Templar, immortals, I mean that becomes very playable.
Oh, man, and we pick up 86 Banelings this time. This is a pretty phenomenal run of cards to start off with.
Yeah, crazy luck. I check here. I should have raised it. I mean, you kind of want the Banelings to just be in a one-on-one. It's not great when you've got, four people in a battle and you've got Banelings. Um, that really should have been a raise, I think. And I probably would have taken down the pot looking at these other hands.
Right, right. I mean, it's a tough call to make in middle position with Banelings. I think in early position, they're a very easy check. In late position, with everybody checking to you, it's a very easy raise. But in that weird spot where you're exactly in middle position, you still have half the table behind you, half the table is checked to you. That's just a tough call to make, like either way.
Mm-hmm. And then for my indecision, I managed to pick up six Tempests. And
Nice.
sometimes you just get the cards.
Hey, it's been said many, many times. Nobody wins a poker tournament without a little bit of luck. You gotta hit some hands to be able to make it to the end. Nimbus is taking his time to think. I mean, six altars is nice, but I mean, come on. Two corruptors? He does stay in.
Yeah, I don't get the raise from Can the three ghosts and the five colossi. Um, I'm happy to see it, um, but when I saw the battle come out, I thought, oh man, I was expecting a lot more firepower.
I wonder if he was just kind of expecting a spellcaster from one of y'all and decided the ghosts were going to be enough to stop you.
He might have thought that he could get a fold all the way through on that because it was
Yeah.
a decent sized raise. People are playing tight at the final table. Uh, I don't mind that as a raise, but oh man, he picks up seven battle cruisers. What a hand.
Woo. You're not too shabby yourself with five ultralisks. 0-2 picks up three carriers. Scarro with 32 to 2-2 Marines.
Hmm.
That is definitely a threat to both of the capital ships. How maybe less so to the battle cruisers since they're going to share the upgrades.
Yeah, that 2-2 on the Marines, Scaro, if you get into a one-on-one with that, they can do some damage.
Oh yeah,
And can
and
picking up eight Tempests.
that
That's
is
what a
scary.
hand.
That is scary. Scarro not really picking up anything to go with the Marines, although they are now 3-3. Puts them in front, which I strongly disagree with.
Yeah, I mean, I get that sometimes you want the Widow Mines in the back to kind of come in and get their shots off, but when you've got Marines, your mines are going to do damage to the Marines. You kind of want something to just take all of the damage so your Marines can hang back and just do the damage, hopefully knock out something big. Um, just didn't work out there.
Yeah. So this time we have eight siege tanks. Do you have a line on siege tanks being playable? Like, what are you looking for in siege tanks on the first card?
I don't mind them. I don't love them because they don't shoot up. Um, they're good if you're a little shorter. If you're at four-handed, maybe even five-handed, I like them a lot more. But yeah, when you're eight-handed, you're gonna have some air. You're gonna have DTs walking in there. I'm not crazy about playing the tanks.
All right. It's one of those cards that keep trying to shoehorn into my strategy simply because they do so well against so many ground units.
Mm.
And it's so hard to make a double air hand. Like I just feel like there's something there, but it's definitely a difficult hand to play.
Yeah. And here, I'm not sure about Reach's call, but he honored his traditions. The random number gods are rewarding him here. Um, I think Scaro's raise was just big enough that if I had the DTs, I'm folding them.
Oh man. How many wild cards was that again? 19, 20?
19.
19 wild cards with no detection. That is insane. That is insane. All right, 7 swarm hosts this time. However, we are in very early position, the second to act. Protoss 2-2 on the board.
Yeah, I like swarm hosts. I especially like them if you've got a big pot with a lot of people in it. Um, I'm not crazy about them if I've only got 7, but it's still playable. If it stayed with a low bet, I think I stay in here, but it's too expensive.
Yeah, that's almost a 7x raise. I mean, that's quite a bit to call on just a whim there.
hmm And you're really playing to split the pot. You're not even playing for full value.
Yeah, yeah. Your EV would go way up if you had something like DTs that could still split the pot, but have that chance of still just wiping out everything on the ground.
hmm And Nemesis, whoa, 25. What are those? Corruptors.
Yep, with the 18 Phoenix.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not great against the Thors.
No, they're bunching up awfully hard as well. As soon as those Thors finish with the queens and switch modes, we're gonna see some carnage in the air.
Really unfortunate. That's a solid hand.
Yeah. I mean, what can you do though? That's poker.
Yeah, and Frosty, to his credit, I mean, that was not a bad hand to stay in.
No,
I
not at
like
all.
it. Sometimes you're just going to get these situations where your Thors are going to survive. Luckily, Nemesis walks away with splitting the pot.
Hey, can't complain about that. And this time, if I'm seeing right, I'm having a little bit of distortion on the screen. Am I seeing 11 Liberators?
11 lives in first position.
Ooh.
Yeah, I never know about Liberators because it feels like they're always good when they're against me.
Right. So Liberators are your Jack's hand. The hand that you always lose
Yeah,
to but never win with.
yeah, Liberators, and I feel like Ghosts. But then,
Goats.
I
Okay.
pick up the 22 Vikings here. I've got to do something with the hand, right? You got to get paid out on something like this.
Yeah, I'm a fan of betting a little bit bigger if you just check it around on the first card and want to build a pot on the second card. Unfortunately, you miss that one street of value, maybe getting a couple of calls to up the size of the pot so you can bet bigger, but might as well throw a few extra chips in, see if you can get a couple more calls, make that little bit extra money on top.
Yeah, when I checked around, I was kind of expecting somebody would come in and put in a little raise and get me some value there, but it just didn't work out. Everyone was a gentleman. Very unfortunate. Uh, but luckily, Man called, managed to get some value out of it.
We've already discussed the infestors with only 3 this time, even in late position. I think I can safely assume we're folding here.
Yeah, I can't imagine us stayed in this hand. There's no reason to stay in on this hand.
Yeah, there's the fold. So we're back into 6th place, slowly climbing back up, doing well.
Yeah, getting lucky. Bad at games here with a raise of 5. I think perfect. I mean, you got the swarm hosts. You want them to hang in the back and have a big table, let all of the air kill each other, and picks up the tanks. Really nice. I like tanks here.
Interesting combination. Definitely a good tying hand.
hmm Let's see. Nemesis raising with the Marines and a couple of ghosts, four ghosts. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that's fine in this position. You kind of want that to be a heads up hand.
Yeah, the Marines in particular, you really don't want them to have to deal with multiple targets splitting their DPS as much as possible. As you can see them just rolling over these battle cruisers, coming in on the Locusts, hopefully dealing with some of these tanks before they die out. Maybe, maybe not.
Nah,
Nah, not quite. Okay.
locusts are buffering for them. Nah, the
But they
tanks
had
are
a
just
good
gonna.
run. They had a good run.
They did. Yeah, they took out some BCs. They all got to, have some pride, and then get slaughtered.
Oh my. And we wake up with, is that 8 carriers?
8 carriers.
8 carriers. No upgrades on the board, but an ante of 5. So we're starting to get little bit of a decent sized pot before anybody's money goes in. So we could stand to win a little bit here.
Mm-hmm. Frosty raising 10. Um, I think the 22 queens, the more I play with them, the less I like queens. In theory, I think they're top tier, but in practice, they just don't seem to work out for me.
They are very particular about what they're good against and what they aren't. They hate AoE, they hate burst damage, but any kind of just sustained DPS they excel against.
Mm-hmm. And I re-raise here. I'm thinking, what is somebody going to have that's going to beat 8 carriers? Whatever it is, I'm expecting that they're going to be raising in this position. I'm last in the position. I really should raise here.
Yeah. And I mean, the lurkers make for pretty darn good tanks. Like, they're going to buy your carriers some time against anything on the ground that might still be able to shoot up.
Yeah.
So there's 30 into a pot of 115, so you're giving about 4 to 1 on call. Not too bad.
Yeah, I want the calls here. I figure
Yeah.
carriers are also going to be really good in a three-way. The lurkers are going to take care of a lot of the stuff on the ground that you're worried about. Um, Unfortunately, they don't knock out the DTs here, but I'm still okay with this situation.
Right. Those queens slowly going down, running out of energy very quickly, actually. And the banshees, boom, boom, boom. But as you said, unable to detect the Dark Templar.
So, pick up 100 chips. Pretty happy with that on a bet of 60.
Well, you're back above starting stack status. Hitting 303 there, so congratulations for the comeback. This time
Yeah,
we have 15 of
thanks.
the Wish.com Ravens, as we lovingly put them on the casts.
They are just as effective as Ravens about 5% of the time.
Sounds about like something you would get from Wish.com. Oh, man. Some okay hands kind of around the table. 0-2 with 13 Marauders, Reach with 10 Phoenix, Bad with 11 Hydras puts them down.
And
One
reach here
Raven
with,
per Can, so at least the Ravens are off the table.
yeah, reach here with a, pure position bet. I mean, the 10 Phoenix aren't going to do a whole lot, but you get checks all the way around. Everyone's playing conservative. It's worth doing the raise to take it down. Good play there.
Absolutely. Having a balanced strategy is definitely a strong way to go in these deep stack tables. You don't want to give away too much early on, so being able to kind of check the strong hands, raise the weak hands, mix up your strategy a little bit, make sure you're not always showing down the nuts or always showing down a bluff. Good ideas to
Mm-hmm.
have.
Yeah, and in that position, if you get a call, you kind of accept it. If you get checked around, you can just check through and show it and show that you're willing to make that position raise with
Hmm.
absolutely nothing and hope the next time you've got the nuts.
Exactly.
And
A
here
lot of this
there
game
was
is
no
table
thought.
image.
Oh yeah.
It's table image and the fact that you have to assimilate a lot of information in a short amount of time relative to a regular poker tournament. You know, when you're playing a regular 125 gold game, you end around hand 40, 45, maybe hand 50. That's not a whole lot of hands of poker to be played when normally, in a regular sit and go, you can be sitting there for an hour and a half, probably playing 90 to 100 hands.
Hmm. Yeah, that last hand I probably should have raised a little bit more. The Marines are great in a one-on-one, but I still got paid off pretty well. I was happy with
Yeah, that's
it.
fair.
And then
Folding the
here you've
14
got,
roaches this time.
yeah, roaches just weren't playable on a Protoss 3-3.
No.
Batic games with the Liberators. You've got uh, the the Queens. You've got the Mutalists from 0-2. Nemesis with the Disruptors. It's pretty good. All these hands are playable.
Quite a bit to go around as we open up into the melee.
And I've got to think that Bata Games is going to take this down just because he's the only thing left in the air and nothing is really
Nothing
shooting
can
up
shoot
here.
up. Those queens are going to go down very quickly to the Liberators. And then you're right, nothing else is going to be able to shoot up.
Another situation. I mean, Queens and Siege Tanks, great hand in theory, but in a battle like this, it just isn't going to work out for you. You're always going to have something that just tears through them.
And there he goes, taking down the full pot of 96. Still, that leaves us in third place. So, I mean, from worst to third, doesn't quite rhyme, but we'll take it.
Yeah, I'm happy at this point. I'm back up. I'm starting to see the antes increase, and so I know that the pace of the game is about to accelerate. Um,
Right.
I want to stay out of losing any chips at this point, so I'm going to play a little bit conservatively and hope that I can catch some good hands, make some money off of them. If I get some good drawing hands, I'm going to play them. Um, but for the most part, this is where I'm going to start playing a little bit conservatively.
This is where, well, about where it becomes profitable to just really start taking over the antes. Just start
Hmm.
playing really aggressively, trying to take down these uncontested pots when you're in late position. I mean, 8 players, 8 ante, that's 64 chips in the pot before anybody gets dealt a card. That's, about a fifth of a starting stack.
Whoa, that storm!
Oh, man.
Oh, I remember that. It was like what, almost a full stack of Marines just melted. Oh, that
Oh,
was so
man.
sad.
Oh, man. I do love my infestors. I know you said you weren't a big fan of them, but I will play them aggressively and without any kind of caution. Now that they got patched and the infested Terran bug got fixed, I think they're really, really powerful. For
If
almost
we,
particularly this reason. Like, look at how they run away and force a tie.
yeah, I think I would like them a whole lot more if they held on their fungals against DTs and were just a little more effective there.
That's
I feel like
fair.
I just always have the worst luck of running Infester into DT and just watching them die.
Oh,
Uh, so here are
so
some really good hands. I mean, I
mhm.
like playing the High Templar. You've got the Queens, you've got a mid-level stack of BCs. Frosty's gonna fold that.
do a significant raise. 30
Yeah.
into 80, almost half pot.
Scaro's calling with the Queens. We got three-way reach with not picking up a whole lot.
No, unfortunately not. Scaro at least suited with 1-1 for the Roaches and the Queens. Decent count of both.
Yeah, I don't get Reach's raise here. That's a big raise. Maybe he's hoping that everyone's just going to fold down, but
I think he's just trying to steal 97 into what was that about 160? I mean, that's a pretty decent sized raise, about two-thirds pot.
Yeah, he's got the stack. He can afford to do it. Uh, I don't know. I'd be
I
worried you're
mean,
running into something really good here.
is he just that committed to being the big stack bully, even though he's not really that big of a stack yet? I mean, maybe he's just overplaying his hand.
Yeah, and if he doesn't do that, I feel like 0-2 has a hand that he could have raised with. But on that kind of a raise, you're expecting that somebody else is going to have something really good. Um, and here, Reach ends up getting lucky. The random number gods are on his side. The roaches kind of blocking the queens.
Yeah, a
Um,
little bit.
I think that's going to end up saving him here.
Oh my, I have not seen this before. The roach is absolutely getting in the way of the queens. Maybe this is another
Oh,
argument for the roaches to travel while they're burrowed.
oh, this is why you all in on hand one.
Oh my. Oh my. Well, not for the three hydras on hand number 18. Not that's for sure.
No, that's just not playable. They are 2-2 though.
They are 2-2, but I mean even 300 killers probably not gonna survive very well there.
No, Frosty with a raise with the lurkers. I mean, that's a high enough count of lurkers. I think it's worth a little bit of a raise. And Bad at Games coming back with 5 Dark Templar. Nemesis re-raising 2.
Matt and I just had this conversation. He really likes like. All right, so his approach is that one Dark Templar is the same as 25 Dark Templar. Either you're countered or you're not. I disagree strongly. Not only do I think more Dark Templar can win more fights instead of tying, you have some incidental splash damage such as lurkers and siege tanks, where, if you only have a couple of Dark Templar, they could die. If you have 20 plus, you're going to be safe. Where do you fall on this argument?
Yeah, I mean, having more is better. You do have some counters that aren't that effective. You've got the infestors where they might fungal, and if you've got 5 of them, they might get picked off. But if you've got 25, they're probably not going to counter it. Small counts of banelings. There are some situations where you want more of them, but for the most part, yeah, I think having any Dark Templar is, you get the value of it's a Dark Templar, it's permanently cloaked. Um, so I think I side with Bad on that. You can see here, even with that low count, the Infestor AI is just not going to work out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but not enough fungals. The DTs get away scot-free. However, the
You hate
Vikings
to see
not
that.
going to land. Even if the infestors do go down, the Vikings will be safe.
Yeah, so you're still getting paid off a little bit, not huge, but that's kind of what you expect with Dark Templar.
And here we are, 3 infestors once again, this time at a 12 ante, not what you're looking for. 30 bets left, I'm sure this will be a fold, even with the 2-2 on the board.
Yeah, this is check fold.
Move on to the next hand. Too bad we don't have
I,
Zoom Battle Poker. That would be nice. Where as soon as you fold, like, instead of sitting at a single table with your opponents, you're in a pool of players all playing at the same stakes. And as soon as you fold a hand, you're whisked off to a new table with new opponents with a new hand to play. You only have to sit at the same table with the same people until that one hand is done.
yeah, that would be fun, but then you don't get to, talk smack to everybody else at the table.
Very true. That is half the fun of Battle Poker. So just out of curiosity, did you see the post in the general Discord channel about our Final Table Fridays idea maybe coming up?
Yeah, I really like the idea that I like the higher chip stacks. one of the things that is always kind of frustrating about battle poker is you have these value bets that you want to make where you know that, like, all right, I've got a 60-70% chance not of winning this pot, but of splitting it. And, at a pub table, you got to fold those, and you've got to fold them almost every time. And it's really frustrating. You just
Yeah.
don't have enough time and enough hands to make those value bets work out. So you have to play those super conservative, play to win the hand. Um, and it's frustrating because I think it does limit some of the strategy.
Right. I mean, if it were up to me, we would only have anti-raises every 10 minutes, and every game of Battle Poker would last like 2.5 hours. But unfortunately, we have to kind of tune the game towards the general public that's playing the game, and not towards the poker enthusiast that wants to actually get hands in and see who's the best over a longer period of time.
Yeah, I'd be really interested, if you could make those, the higher starting pot or the higher starting gold games worth more MMR. I would love to see that. They're going to last a little longer. You're going to have, I think, different strategies come into it. And I think if you're extending the time, making it have more of an MMR bump would be really fun. Um, I think it's a great idea for a little league game. People are going to have fun with that, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Not necessarily players that like I'm not saying that these players would like never reach a final table, but the opportunities to get to a final table are very limited. So far, we've had two tournaments, one final table apiece, and we've had the one league after 6 whole weeks of play, one final table for 8 players. So I'd love to be able to get this kind of set up into more players' hands, let them play around with it, enjoy it, so that, should they do decide to enter a tournament or a league later on and they make the final table, hopefully they'll be a little bit more tuned into how it works, how the additional chips influence the early game.
Here, oh wow, 0-2 just hanging on. Um, Really, really solid play from him. I think that's a
I don't
hand
I
where
don't
he
think
he
any of
should
those
split
ravens
it.
got missed. I think every single raven is down to 0 energy.
Yep. It'll time out. It'll be a split, so zero
Yeah.
two gets to survive.
What a hand, though. My goodness. Five
Oh, we
ultras
finally
this
have.
time. Huh.
Yeah, again, ultras at an eight-way table. I'm not going to be wild
Not
about.
messing with them.
Yeah, if I can see a second card for free or for cheap, I'll play it. But as it is, I think this is a folding hand.
Yeah, once again, ultras were kind of in my wheelhouse of like I'll play them kind of aggressively shorthanded, but they haven't been working for me very well lately.
And this is the 25 adepts in a double anti-raise. Frosty staying in. He's got a playable hand here, and I'm actually not sure who wins this hand. I think Frosty can win this one. It's going to be close.
I mean, that's a lot of units for. I'm basically calling the Thors to be able to win this because the Stalkers are going to get very quickly surrounded by the Adepts and the Marines.
Yeah, the raise
It's
of
bad with a
114.
raid with 25 Adepts, though. This is not standard for bad.
Now you can tell these two have played each other. They're in each other's heads right now.
Oh,
That was a
wow.
that was a solid raise. That was
That was
good.
good. That was good.
And now, oh, 9 Tempest. Oh, this.
Oh, buddy.
Sometimes you just get a good hand at a good time.
Can't complain about that. Middle position, no upgrades on the table to worry about, a min raise in front. We go with the min
Reach
raise.
there. Oh,
Okay.
Reach even poking the bear with a stick. Oh, don't do it, Frosty. Don't do it.
He's thinking about it. I mean, 11 Liberators, when you're as short stacked as Frosty is, You're looking at 5, maybe 6 bets. I think that's a good hand to go in with, and he does.
Oh, it hurts to see it.
It does hurt to see it from this perspective. As we know, or at least I assume, you're going to make the call with the 9 Tempest. The re-raise is
You,
going to be screaming capital ships. And oh, we pick up
oh,
5 BCs. Oh, it hurts so
when you
good. It hurts so good.
if you switch the cards we picked up there,
Uh huh.
I think Frosty takes it.
Yeah. Suited
Just
Battlecruiser
unfortunate.
Liberators, I mean, with the Yamatos on the Tempest, I think he would definitely have a shot.
Yep. Just not great luck. Frosty dominant all through the league, and just poor luck on that second card, and he's out.
Well, Frostocles, the hero of the regular season of the Battle Poker League, coming up with 47 out of the 50 possible points, out in first place at the final table. I'm sorry, in 8th place at the final table. Frosty, well done. It's been a pleasure to have you on the cast, sir. Glad to have you with us. Best of
Also, a
luck
lot of
next
fun
time.
on the casts. I mean, I've loved hearing him cast some of these games.
Oh,
A
yeah.
whole lot of fun. Have a blast every time I play with the guy. I really hope I get to play with him a lot more in the future.
Frosty's always a blast to have around. I really have fun casting with him every single time that we get to. So a couple of hands this time around. Nemesis with 16 Ravagers, 15 Infestors for Scaro, 25 Vikings for 0-2.
I mean, the 16 Ravagers here with the upgrades, really solid. Picking up only 3 Immortals is not what you want to see there, but still, a hand that you're gonna want to see if you can.
Makes sense. Here we go, heads up between 0-2 and Nemesis. The Vikings immediately land for their ground battle. Broodlord's
And
going down to the Biles. But
just not enough Immortals there.
no, not enough. Too many Vikings. The Ravagers slowly going down. Even with the Biles, just not enough DPS.
If it had been maybe 5 or 6 Immortals, I'm not sure that turns out the same way. They might have enough tankiness that they would have survived there.
It's very possible, and they do insane damage to the Vikings as they are armored. Well,
Here
this time
picking
you
up,
picking up 24 ghosts once again. 0-1-1 on the board.
yeah, and again, you with the ghosts, you're worried about capital ships. I was putting in a raise. I kind of hope that everyone folds it out, and I'm really happy with that hand.
Right. One of those hands that you feel great when you get called, but not so great when you get raised. It feels like a fold if you get re-raised there.
Yeah, then you're just wondering, like, is it Ravens? Because if it's Ravens, then you feel great. But if it's battle cruisers, if it's carriers, even siege tanks, just roll right through you.
I mean, I think specifically with, I guess depending on the raise sizing, if it's a really large re-raise or if it's a 4 bet, I read it as Ravens, battle cruisers, carriers. So at that point, if you have the ghost, it's only a 1 in 3 chance of you really having a chance at winning that hand, depending on what the second card is.
Yeah,
At
I
least,
think
at
that's
least for
about right.
me, you know.
I think that's about right. Let's see here. 8 Broodlords on a toss 1-1. Uh, Not crazy about this. I'm kind of gonna want to see what the table does. Um,
I'd say
if I
it's
can get a free,
playable if you were at like a much lower ante level. If we were still at like 8-10 antes, it might be more playable, but it's really hard to draw when you're only sitting on 30 bets.
yep. And you know that people are going to be playing, like Man Can is pretty short stack. Nemesis is getting down there.
Right.
People are going to start looking for the hands where they can go all in. Um, you don't want to be caught up against somebody, who's got a couple of battle cruisers, liberators, and you've got, you know, brood lords. It's just not where you want to be.
No, no, not at all. As we reach our first in-game hour. Oh, those Raven shots.
Not quite enough, but
No, couple
should
of
be
Tempest
enough to
make it through.
survive.
They pew
And
pew down.
living to fight another day.
Well, Nemesis with 5 battle cruisers this time. Reach with 8 void rays.
Not a whole lot else on the board. Siege tanks late position. If I can stay in cheap, I will, but I'm probably going to fold this out.
Yeah, those antes are still just getting sky high. It's getting really difficult to play those drawing hands. The higher they get, the shorter your stack is, the more correct it is to almost play fit or fold poker. And you still have to fit a couple of those all-in bluffs in here or there, raise to take down some antes in late position, but you can't play the drawing hands anymore. You don't have the implied odds to win.
Yep, and of course I play it, so that was a mistake. And get rewarded with the Wish.com Ravens and fold it out.
Oh no.
Nemesis taking down a nice pot.
Can't complain about that. As he jumps from last place back into almost the middle of the pack.
Yeah, gets himself about 10 hands to play, maybe a little less as the antes increase, but he's in a pretty decent spot now to hang tight, look for the next real opportunity. Scaro and Man Can right on the bubble here. They've got to find a place to make a move.
Yeah, we're only looking at 3 bets for the two of them at the most, less actually. So they've got to go all in here very soon. We talk about this all the time during the league. I mean, people folding themselves down to a blind, less than a blind. It's just not the way to go. Go all in while you still have some fold equity, while you still have a stack that's a little bit scary. Try to take down some antes while you're in late position. Do everything in your power to just not put yourself in that position in the first place where you have to fold down to less than a blind.
Yeah, I'm not sure the 23 Zealots are the right place to do it. In his spot, I probably would have folded that away or just checked it through. You've got checks. You can see a second card for free. I don't think he needed to go all in there.
If he was in slightly later position, I would like to shove just as a steal, like purely as a steal. As it is, I think he needed a little bit more power.
Yeah, I agree with that. Bad at games with carriers and void rays. That's the nice hand.
Ooh. Suited, free 1-1. Void rays in front. Loving it. Here come the Vikings, though. As the void rays and carriers go to work, the Oracle's taking care of the Thors. Man, can all in.
I think I would almost want to put the Thors in front there as 0-2. Um, uh, I think that would give you a little bit more of a chance. Your worry here is the capital ships. You're worried about your BCs, your
Right.
your carriers. I like to have those, the Vikings hang back and hopefully land and clean up anything on the ground as opposed to just getting wiped out. And
And a game
oh,
showing us he's upset because man Can left the game before he got his kill animation, I believe.
he wanted to see the storm.
He wanted to see the storm. He's been so upset about the fact that he didn't get to see the storm. And it seemed like in 5 games in a row, anytime he got a kill, he didn't get to see the kill animation. He finally did last night in the Nin house. So props to him. He got his kill. He got to watch it. It was cool. But yeah.
Now, I'm not sure about this hand. I think the raise was okay, but I might should have checked that around. I don't know. 10 Tempest is good enough that it's going to be a playable hand even if I don't pick up anything. So that could have been a check. I was hoping that you would have somebody with capital ships and get a call
Right.
there. Um, I don't know. That might not have been the right call there.
Not a whole lot going on in this hand. We do have the 7 disruptors, but that's about it. Nobody else with a whole lot to challenge us. Maybe Scara with the Phoenix.
Yeah, Reach I think was trying to kind of steal that pot. He's in a late position. But with Scaro being that short stacked, you're gonna get a call.
Yeah. I don't
Oh,
think he factored in how short Scara was.
and he picks up the 23 Ravens. Oh my gosh.
My goodness. I mean, hey, everybody's got to get lucky at some point. Even Reach gets Ravens sometimes.
Raise of 154 is gonna drive me out real quick.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of tanks to take care of those Reapers. But unfortunately, the Ravens, with the earth-shattering kaboom.
And Scaro's out.
GG
Yeah, Scaro was actually the guy I was most worried about at this table, just because
Really?
with his style, it's hard to read sometimes. He throws a lot of chips on the table on hands that, you look back at it and you say, well, that shouldn't have worked out, but it does. I mean, he was kind of the wild card in my mind at this table. He was the one I was most worried about.
Okay. Well, this time we have the 9 Brood Lords. It is a little short-handed. It's a little more short-handed now than last time with 5 players left. Let's see, we make the call.
Yeah, I like him here. It's a +3/+3. It's Brood Lords. You're kind of hoping they survive. I like him on kind of a twice the ante raise here. Reach re-raising big time. Not as wild about it now.
Shout out to Scaro for being a part of this league.
And the +4/+4 on both sides. I mean, those are two great hands. Reach, I'm not sure about that size of a bet, but you can't blame him too much with +4/+4. The Baneling's going to wipe out everything on the ground, and you've got those wonderful +4/+4 Hydras to back him up.
Mm. I just love hearing the 4/4 upgrades. Like it's just so satisfying to like the few times that you get them. Oh man, it feels so good.
Yeah, when they first made that change, I would play any 4/4 that I had just to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so you end up with like 2 Thors and 10 Marines, but they're +4/+4. I mean, you got to play it, right?
Maybe not quite that low. Maybe not quite that low.
Yeah, I realized pretty quickly that was not a winning strategy.
I mean, worth trying it the first couple of times, but you got to learn pretty quickly from prior mistakes. Reach winning a very important pot for him, bringing him back up into third place.
Yeah, that's going to give him a little bit of breathing room. He's going to be able to hang around for a while and look for another opportunity. Um, you've got Nemesis looking at about what? That's 3 or 4 hands. 0-2, not much better than that. It's starting to get tight. It's starting to get hard here.
Yeah, these blinds are getting sky high. I mean, everybody except for Bad at Games is basically on a short stack. We're sitting on a pretty okay stack, a little bit over 10 bets, but nothing really too safe. Everybody else at less than 10. So, I mean, while we're in good position, we are by no means safe.
Yeah, in a min race here, I'm hoping that somebody comes along with me with some pretty good cards. Vikings at +1/+1 are going to be good about against a lot of the really high quality hands. Um, yeah, and I pick up the Thors here, and that's just really increases the power. Putting the Thors in front, letting him tank,
Oh,
it gives
absolutely.
this a lot of versatility.
Not to mention the 2-2.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, running up against these Marines, that is not what you want to fight with Thors.
I mean, it's fine. You're just hoping that they survive long enough that you can get the Vikings to land.
As they do. And that is it for Nemesis, coming in 5th place at our final table.
And again with the Tempest. Oh my gosh.
Can't complain, man. When the deck hits you, it hits you.
I mean, I think if you're bad at games, you can complain about how many Tempests I got this game.
The 0-2 with the 18 DTs this time. Nobody with a counter on the board, even with 4 players involved in the hand with both cards already dealt. Reach lays down the 1 lurker and 18 roaches. Not sure what he was thinking.
Yeah, 0-2, I like that raise. Hopefully make it just a little bit harder for anybody to call and hope that I'm not sitting on a counter. I think that was a solid play on his part.
Absolutely. Go for the fold, but if you don't get it, you have the backup DTs. Hopefully, you get a split. And 20 Marauders. Do you consider Marauders playable at a four-handed table at any point?
Four-handed, probably not. Maybe three-handed if you've got
Okay.
20 of them and you get some upgrades. But there's just so much that they don't work against.
Yeah, they're definitely specialized against those armored units, but they're pretty tanky themselves. What is it, 120 HP, I think? And I think 1 natural armor?
I think that's right. Um, heads up, they're playable. Three-handed,
Definitely.
maybe. Four is where I start to really just lose interest in them.
Okay, that's fair. Well, you pick up the Liberators this time, but put them down after some significant action.
Yeah, just not enough liberators for what I might be running into, and for good reason. Reach. Oh my
Yeah. Oh,
gosh.
man. Look at that hand. 49 Marines, 8 battle cruisers, Terran 2-2 already on the board. Whew.
Shame that he only gets to split with that hand.
Yeah, but I mean, what a hand it was. The DTs grouping up underneath the battle cruisers, just pretending to not be there. Ante's up to 52-0-2 with less than 3 bets to go.
Yeah, he's got to look for a spot to really make a move. He's in late position here. 26 Marines. You know, it's a Zerg +3/+3, but bad at games with the raise ahead of him.
There it is. Bad in first position this time with five Ravagers. We pick up the 23 Dark Templar. Hopefully, we're going to see a raise. Or do we set the trap? Okay, we raise.
And nobody really with anything that is all that great. The Colossi,
I don't
oh,
like that all in. I
eh,
I I like it if you folded, I like the all in. But with you already showing interest in the pot, the Colossi are not strong enough to hold up to basically anything that should be in your range, I don't think.
yeah, he picks up the Void Rays, and that, I mean, that's really good. That's going to
Yeah.
save him here.
I mean, sometimes you just bink the card you need. What can you do? So you're two still with only about three bets left after the current ante. 16 oracles he picks up.
Ooh, 16 Oracles. I don't know. That's a hard call. He made it very quickly. I think you've got to in this position, but you know that you're essentially all in.
In this position, I prefer the all-in. If you're gonna play the hand, go ahead and shove. Get everybody else out. Just don't let Baden reach hang around. Get the hand heads up. Pray that they have ground.
Ooh, and he runs into
Oh
24
no.
Ravens. Oh,
What are you groaning about? They were your Ravens.
I know, but I hate to see it for him. I hate to see any of these guys lose. I mean, I love seeing myself win, but
Of course.
oh, especially not to something like, you know, when you make good decisions and you still lose. I just
Hey,
hate to see it for these
it's a part
guys.
of poker.
It really is.
And here is the kill by the water elemental. We are down to three, ladies and gentlemen.
Reach here has got to find a way to make a little bit of money. Now you're not going to get paid off on any of the pots as much as you were when you had more people in them. Um, you know, you've got to find your spot to get some breathing room with an all in, hopefully on a hand that you can call and take down.
The folding here would still leave him a pot-sized bet to shove in late position on the next hand if it checks to him. I kind of like that play. I don't think that the 10 hiders are worth making any kind of play with right now. Fold, make the plan on making the steal next hand.
Yeah, I agree. And a good hand to do it with.
And wow, yeah, he picks up 10 Tempest, even better. This is definitely going all in.
Yeah, you've got to here. And at this point, strategically, my goal is to knock Reach out. You know, I want to get him out of this and have a nice heads up
Have a
game
good
with
heads
Bad.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. And he just, oh, I hate to see that again. Picking up the 11 voids, they're going to run straight through those Tempests.
Oh my. Yeah, they sure are. Both players won one, so the upgrades are negated. The Stalker's not going to have a good time with the upgraded Immortals, but it's not going to matter as the Immortals will eventually fall to the Void Rays that are left over.
Yeah. Right decision to go all in. It just didn't work out for him.
No, not at all. Uh, I agree with it being the right decision. I mean, absolutely, that was the hand to go in with. But I mean, you can make the right decision all day long in poker, and you're still at the mercy of the RNG gods.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are, heads up. We're very close to even stacks, about 1,200 to roughly 1,000. Um, what is your plan coming into this heads up match? Have you played bad heads up before? Did you have any reads? Did you just kind of decide you're just going to stay with the course, stay with the current game plan?
So I don't think I've ever played bad heads up. I might have maybe once, but I didn't have any real information on him going in. Um, I know he knows card value, betting strategy. So, my first thought was I've got a little bit of a buffer here to work with.
Mhm.
Let me go ahead and start putting in some raises here, and let's try and just push him down. And on the first hand, shoved a little bit with those high Templar. Um, on this hand, I'm just not even willing to play it. 8 Oracles and 3 Phoenix. Yeah, it works out here, but not a hand that I want to see heads up.
No, not at all.
Yeah, if you run into, you know, 6, 7 corruptors, this just is a terrible hand.
I mean, that's the fun of heads up, though, sometimes those low count units can win just based on the units that they are. If your opponent can't shoot back at you and you have enough DPS to finish them off, it doesn't really matter how many units you have, whether it's 4 or 12 or 23.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we're not going to finish them off here, but still, good split pot. As we approach the 68 blind level, batted game sitting on a little bit over 10 bets. And we pick up 8 battle cruisers this time
Battle
against the
cruisers.
Wish.com Ravens.
Yeah, he's got to fold that
Good
out.
raise. Yeah, you can't call that with the Widow Mines. Almost called them Spider Mines. Bad. Is he gonna play the Adepts again?
He does. And takes it down. That was a good play.
Ooh, Phoenix against Muta. Gotta feel good.
Yeah, got to
One
put in a raise
mothership.
there.
Yeah,
And bad, just not enough. With a higher mute account, that's maybe playable and should be disastrous for him in this situation, but
right.
I
I
can't
don't think he
imagine he
can call
played
with it.
here. Yeah, that's the right fold.
Yeah. Here we go with 11 Oracles into 18 Adepts. The Adepts on our side this time. Makes a raise. Bad does love his Oracles, I will tell you that.
Yeah, and here, I'm thinking it feels like he's playing the cards for, you know, what their actual value is. He's not trying to play mind games. I think because we haven't played heads up, he wasn't pulling the same stuff that he was with Frosty.
Right.
Um, so he puts in this big raise, and I know he's got me beat. I just had to lay down there.
It is interesting that one aspect of this game is the skill in reading hands. It's not something you really run into unless you're rolling out, like the 1-2 no limit tables and you get a drunk guy that doesn't understand that a straight loses to a flush or something like that. Whatever. But in this game, there's definitely a skill to reading the strength of the hand and playing it accordingly, as opposed to just knowing that, like, oh, this is a straight, oh, this is 2 pair, oh, this is 3 of a kind.
There, the min raise. I was hoping I could get him to come along because I really liked that hand. He does with a very playable hand of his own. We're kind of feeling each other out here, and luckily I'm getting the better end of the cards, so it's working out for me.
As we're up to the 84 blind level now. Wish.com Ravens. 1 Corruptor.
Trying to
Not
buy the
looking
pot
good.
here.
Yeah. And the re-raise tells us no good.
Yep, I'm out of that hand real fast.
Good fold.
But now that I've shown him that, I think he's going to be willing to re-raise more. So I'm thinking some of these min raises, I can maybe get him to come along and, re-raise on him. So I have in mind now that if I can find a good place to do that, I should try it.
Yep, absolutely. Good mindset. Thinking
Yeah,
about it,
both
puts it down.
both times I try it, he dodges it. He's avoiding the trap here.
Still sitting at about a 2-to-1 chip advantage, so we're sitting pretty safe. One double up could change things. We're also in very safe position and have him covered should he go all in.
Ooh, and an unfortunate call there for him. A really, really solid hand with the Banelings, but the
Right.
Broodlords are just not what you want to see.
Nope.
Every time they shoot, they're taken down. I mean, it's one automatic kill every time they shoot.
You know, I just noticed this, but thank you for rocking the pink in this game. That's my color.
Oh, right on. I think it was random.
Oh, well, good enough for me. Whatever.
Real men wear pink.
There you go. And we hit the 100 ante level. Not a whole lot of bets left in the game. Bad with 5.5. Us with 16 and about a half.
Yeah, he's got to start looking for a place where he can make up some of this difference. I mean, it's a 3-to-1 chip stack at this point. Um, he's in a rough spot, and he's been playing really well.
14 hydras for bad, 18 marauders for burnt. He raises big with the hydras. Nice
Gets the
move.
fold.
Nice
Yeah,
move. Pick up a few
if it
chips.
if it had been a min raise, I probably would have stayed in on that, and
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think it would have gone well for me.
So obviously we're not happy with the Hellions. How are you feeling with the Corruptors, even with such a small count?
It's not great. They don't do a whole lot, and when you're backed up with some Hellions, it's just not a hand that you're going to play.
Here we go with the DTs this time. Checking it down. Setting the trap. Doesn't take it.
Oh, and I love this. When you get the ghosts, you put the ghosts in front. If you get oracles as the counter, you can wipe those out. Um, if you get ravens, you can knock out their energy, and hopefully it's something else on the ground so the DTs can take care of it. Um, yeah, I'm going to raise that hand pretty heavy every time.
Definitely. And we get a double ante raise. That's a 32% increase in the blind levels at this late in the game. That is brutal. Absolutely
Yeah,
brutal.
Bad is just running out of time, and he's doing what he can to buy himself a little bit more. Um, it's just the antes are just starting to really cut in on what you can do.
Yeah. I mean, even your stack right now, you're barely at above 10 bets. I mean, there's only so many chips in the game, and with the antes this big, your play style definitely becomes fit or fold for the most part,
Mm.
unless, obviously there are mind games involved, setting traps,
Ooh,
raising out of
ooh,
position.
the all in. I mean, fine hand to do it with. Just running into a counter here.
Ooh,
Um,
there go the lifts. Is it enough to kill though?
yeah, there's too much DPS.
Oh, and the sad face from Bad tells us that's probably gonna be it.
Yep.
So after an hour and 42 minutes of in-game time, we get to crown our first league champion. Burnt, man. How's it feel? After
I
six
mean,
weeks of all this.
it feels good, but at the same time, looking at that game, I think you could have taken just about anybody and given them those cards, and they're going to win that table. I mean,
Yeah.
how many times did I get Tempest out of 58 hands? I think that I had a good count of Tempest 6 or 7 times, a good count of ravens on top of that. Sometimes you just get lucky. I managed to get lucky at the time that it mattered. And looking at how Bad was playing, yeah, I don't think that I saw any mistakes that he made. I didn't see many mistakes from anybody at this table. Um, you get to this level of play, and it really does come down to a lot of luck. You hope you get the right cards on the right day.
Hey, you can't win a poker tournament without being lucky, and today that was your day. So
Yeah,
congratulations to
absolutely.
Bert. I
Yeah, well,
mean, dude,
I've got to say, there is one thing that I did that I think really took me to a different level here, and that was that first hand, almost all in. Yeah, the random number gods smile on people who honor their traditions.
I was just gonna say, just from speaking to you through this cast, you clearly have a great understanding of poker. You understand position play, you understand pot odds, you understand a lot of just the basic concepts of what makes a strong poker player, and that clearly showed through in this final table. The way that you handled yourself with betting, bet sizing, timing, you are clearly a top class poker player. You've clearly taken those skills and translated them into battle poker, and man, it's been great having this final table here casting alongside you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've got to say, watching some of the commentary, I've picked up a lot more about poker. I think that I've learned more about poker from playing battle poker than I would have expected. Um, but watching some
Oh
of the
man.
commentary, you have to think through the bet sizing and your pacing, position play, and ultimately, I mean, it just came down to luck. I think everybody at that table, Frosty obviously has been a beast. You've got Nemesis, great player. Scaro, like I said, was my biggest fear in there. Reach, 0-2, Man Can, all great players. All of them could have won this final table. It's been a blast. I mean, even the second table, I was looking at it, stacked, great
Yeah.
players. Any of them could have won at the top table. Um, so it's been a blast playing with the higher end, not having to deal with some of the crazy, you know, things that you see in pub games where people go all in on the first hand with nothing. It's been fun playing against some really high end competition.
And that's awesome to hear. Um, so that's been it from us. We've got the
Wait, wait,
game
wait,
done.
wait, wait. I
Uh,
wanna, I wanna say something. I wanna jump
yeah.
in here. I wanna say congratulations, Burnt. That was very well played. Heads up. It was very, but I had a great time playing you. Even that first raise you made, and I folded. I felt the momentum shift, and I was like, oh no. So well done, and glad to have you as our winner.
Thanks. And yeah, I mean, the momentum shift definitely, I felt it too in game. But I can tell you, if one of those cards goes the wrong way, it would have shifted right back. It was a pleasure. I think that was the first time we've played heads up,
Yeah, it
and so
was.
I didn't know what to expect, but I knew to respect your play. Uh, and so I was sitting there thinking the whole time, like, man, one bad card and this whole thing is going to turn around.
I
I
just
just
couldn't
had to
hit
keep that.
anything.
I know it was really bad luck on your part, and again, I didn't see any mistakes you made. I thought you played that perfectly, and just didn't work out for you.
Thank you. You played it just as perfectly yourself. So well played.
You too, bud.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Burnt, any parting thoughts?
Can't wait for the next league. Really look forward to some of the final table Fridays. Hope I get to play in some of those. I almost didn't get to play in the final table here because I had a work conflict come up that
Oh
got cleared
no.
on Tuesday. So I actually messaged Concordia and said, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to make it." And about an hour later, heard that conflict got cleared up. So I was thrilled to be able to play. That's part of why I was willing to do the hand one all in. I thought, almost didn't get to be here. Might as well have some fun with it.
Hey, there you go.
It's been a blast being a part of it.
Hey, that's what we're all here for. I'm glad I was able to help put this league on. I'm glad that we were able to get all these games casted, put on a show for everybody, give you guys something to do every week. Especially with all the COVID stuff going on, it felt kind of nice to have like an online poker league to look forward to versus the live poker league that I used to go to. So I don't know. That was my whole thinking behind the whole thing, and I'm just glad that everybody had fun.
Yeah, and it's kind of helped to build a really nice community. Anybody who comes into it, you see on the Discord people saying hi immediately, trying to bring people in and get people talking. There's very little toxic chat or toxic personalities. Yeah, you've got some people who are a little edgier, but
A little
they keep it
testy.
fun. Yeah, I don't mind that as much. Nobody's just outright disrespectful, and that is so rare. I've loved having that kind of community come into it.
Man, you're just making me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Good. Well, I've been drinking some EH Taylor, so I'm warm and fuzzy from something else. Glad you spread it.
All right. Well, folks, this has been Burnt Bad at Games and Bot D. Thanks for tuning in. This is the end of our Battle Poker Season 1 League. We will see you next time for Season 2, hopefully in the near future. Y'all take care. Till next time.